Hello everyone, and welcome to my first palette declutter video. I have never done a video quite like this on my channel before, and I was honestly inspired by my girl Sally Choi to do this type of video. So I wanted to talk about all 71 palettes that I own and see which ones I want to pull out. Now my goal is to declutter 10, but if I could do more, that's great. So I am not going in any particular order. I'm probably just gonna go in with what's in front of me first. I just reviewed this palette from Dollface. This is the Pretty Little Gems palette. I feel like in comparison to all of these palettes that I have in front of me, this one is quite lackluster. It doesn't have a whole bunch of pigment to it, and I know the colors seem very vibrant, but you really do have to build it up. So for that reason, I am going to declutter this and give it a new home. Essence actually gifted me this palette, this Hollow Berlin eyeshadow palette, and I've only used it once. Oh, hello. Oh my god, I am so hurt right now. Let's face the mirror this way. I've only used this palette once, and it's really nice, and I actually do want to get use out of it. And the one time that I did use it, it had a lot of pigment, so I want to give this one some extra use. Oh, this is my baby, the Celestial Thunder by Dominique Cosmetics. This is the only Dominique Cosmetics palette that I own, and I definitely want to keep this because the formula in here is so interesting to me. The shades are pressed in really hard, but they don't have fallout, and it comes off super pigmented. So I would definitely want to keep this one. This is like their mini version that they gave out in their BoxyCharm. Do you guys remember these? I have been raving about them for literal years. They're still amazing. But this is by Prism Makeup. This is their Supreme series. Now, I really do like this. I have a review on my channel. They used to sell it on Juno & Co, but I believe you can only get it on the Prism Makeup website or Amazon. So I know for sure I think I want to declutter the Supreme Chaos. Although I have gotten extremely beautiful looks out of this palette, I just feel like in comparison to a lot of the other rainbow palettes that I have, this one has not been getting any use, and quite frankly I feel like it could maybe use a new home or even just gifted to one of my family members. Here is a look into Supreme Femme. It's really pretty. I love the rose and warm tones in here. And then my holy grail of the bunch is the Supreme Seductress. This one is going to look extra busted. I travel with this. This is my ultimate travel palette here when I'm looking for a full-size palette. This palette right here is a new addition to my palette family, and I have been wanting this for so long. So this one is by Kimchi Chic, and this one is an exclusive limited edition Rainbow Shards palette. This is the Mini Me. Look at how cute that is. Literally, I traveled with this already. It was kind of like a one-day thing, and I love the pigmentation of this. I felt like it was honestly so perfect. I love how small the pans are. So this is a definite keep. Like, I really do like this. Here is another mini palette that I really enjoy. This is by Revolution, and I believe this one is just called their Nudes palette. Yeah, it's just called their Nudes palette, but this right here is everything that I adore in a palette. I just feel like it has the right amount of shimmers to metallics to mattes. It's just really pretty. It's not you, it's me. I am going to declutter another Dollface Beauty palette. This one is the Legendary Neutrals. I am just not a fan of actual neutral browns. I gravitate more towards something a little bit more warm, and quite frankly, I feel like this could use a new home. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do it. I have to declutter this. This is by Storybook Cosmetics. It's their Robin Hood palette. I have been wanting Storybook Cosmetics palettes for so long, but this palette here is so boring to me. I feel like the shades are very patchy, and although I have created some bomb looks with this, I just think that I have way better greens in my collection. I don't want to let this go. I really don't. I've had this for literal years, and it is just like a mini magnetic palette with some of the very old, now discontinued Shop Miss A single eyeshadows. This was way back when Shop Miss A used to carry just single shadows with these magnetic palettes on their website, and they don't really do that now. They still have some available, but I feel like this quality surpasses the quality of single eyeshadows that they actually have now. So I don't want to get rid of it because it has sentimental value, and I know that's gross of me, but let me live, please. Folklore Ever Changing. Oh my god, I remember I used this almost every single day, and I think about 2017 or 2018, one of those two, this was everything to me. Oh, I really don't want to let it go, but it's so old. I don't use it at all anymore, but I used to use this every single day. You saw how much I dug into these shimmers, the mattes. This one almost hit pan. I almost did, but unfortunately this palette is really old. I'm pretty sure you can find it on Amazon. It is by the brand Folklore, so maybe they have it on their website, but I think I am going to declutter this. It breaks my little heart, but I really have to. It has to go. We're keeping the Jackie Aina palette. Dare I declutter this? Do I declutter this? Oh my god. Do I? Do I not? I mean, we hit pan. We really did. We did. Almost hit pan on Golden Ochre, which is like my favorite shade in the palette. I used to use Primavera and Vermeer on my cheeks as a highlighter, and those almost hit pan as well. I just feel like this palette, when I use it, it's so patchy. The Modern Renaissance. Oh, it's so hard for me because I got this as a gift, a Christmas gift, and although it is a gift, I don't want to throw it away, but at the same time, it is taking up room in my collection because I'm not using it, and the formula is already like super dry and crusty and patchy, so I'm going to keep this to the maybe pile because I don't know. I recently reviewed all of these brand new Wet n Wild palettes, and I think for sure I am going to keep these two. So this is the Call Me Sunshine and Heart and Soul, and I think I'm going to pass these ones up because I know that I have a lot of other palettes with this type of color scheme with some neutrals and some cools, and I think I could live without these. So these ones are Lights Off and Nude Awakening. We got some ColourPop. Okay, I'm really excited to talk about these. So the brand new ColourPop palette that came into my collection is the Little Ray of Sunshine. Sydney bought this for me for Christmas, and look at how beautiful it is. Every single time my friends buy me palettes, I actually don't use them right away. I actually save them because it's a gift. And no one really gifts me things, so I get really flattered. So thank you, Sydney, for getting me this palette. I'm really excited to use it. So I am gonna keep that, of course. I also have the Sweet Talk palette, which is on my project pan list for this year. I am working really hard to pan this, and I love this formula. You had me at hello. I think we all know where this is going. It's going into the keep pile. This is my Holy Grail palette. That's all we need to know. Oh my god, here we are. We're at the musty, dusty, crusty, yes please palette. This was my first, actually, it's not my first ColourPop palette. We will see that in a bit. But I don't think I could let this go. This was like my first like big ColourPop palette, and I feel like it still performs really well to this day, even though it's about 4 years old now. So I'm gonna keep it just because I still use it from time to time. Oh, damn it. Do I want to keep this palette because it's Sailor Moon, or do I want to declutter it because the formula is actual trash? Do you hear me up close to the microphone? This formula is trash. Look at me keeping the box. Oh my god, like a true collector I am. Yes, I love that for me. Now, truth be told, I only used it for review purposes. And quite honestly, I don't know. I feel like I want to keep it because it's Sailor Moon. But I don't know. I think this is gonna go into the maybe pile so I could think about it again, but in a later time. So we're gonna toss this one over with the Modern Renaissance. And then the final larger ColourPop palette, we will revisit ColourPop somewhere else because it's all here like in these piles, but we have the Dream Street by Kathleen. I don't use this palette. When I first got it, I could not keep my hands off of this palette, quite honestly. I thought it was so pretty, but now that I look at it, I just feel like I love my So Jaded so much more. So I think this is gonna go into the maybe pile as well because I love it because it's Kathleen, but it just breaks my heart that I want to let it go. Dose of Colors Friendcation. This is the Desi and Katie collaboration, and I'm of course keeping this because it is on a project pan list for 2021. So I think I am going to try and finish this shade here, if not this one, by the end of the year. Okay, we don't hear anybody talk about this palette from Tarte. My mom was actually eyeing it, but they ran out in Sephora. This is the Clay Play palette, and it's all mattes. It has all these variations of different neutral shades, which is why I got rid of the Doll Face Neutral palette, because I have this. And I feel like this is a lot more pigmented. It has a lot more variety for me, and I feel like if I need a shimmer, I could honestly go into any other palette that I own. I love the formula of this. I love that there are bronzers in here as well, so she's a definite keep. I am spoiling it for myself, but I am considering doing like a full 1-week series of Odin's Eye. So I have all these palettes that I don't think I've used. I think I've used it once. So I have here a mix of like their highlighters and their eyeshadows. So I have here their Freja Diva palette. Beautiful. I feel like this is so perfect for Valentine's Day. Love that so much. This one is the Alva 2 highlighter palette. Very cool tone. Very reminiscent of, I think, like the Moon Dust palette from ABH. I have here the Soul Mane eyeshadow palette. Oh, this is the one that I used. Yeah, I used her. She's nice. She's really cute. I think she's very reminiscent of the Folklore palette that I just threw out. I like that color scheme a lot. I have here another highlighter palette. They're Soul Mane highlighters. These are very pretty. I already used these 2 shades. They were pretty nice on the skin, but I do have to use it more. And then here's the big daddy. This one's their big eyeshadow palette, and this one is called the Alva 2 eyeshadow palette. And I haven't used this one yet, but it looks so bright, so beautiful. I am in love with how fairy-like this looks. And then I have here a lot of their smaller palettes. I am going to keep all of the ones from Odin's Eye, by the way, because I am trying to prep for that series. So I have this small one, and this one is the Alva 2 Mini Ocean palette. This one is the Mini Forest palette. Oh, that's very pretty. I forgot what this looked like. Oh, that's pretty. That reminds me of a Trix yogurt. Oh, I love that. And then we have here the Sky palette. Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. I actually am really digging this color scheme. I thought that these were actually shimmers, but in fact, they're actually mattes, but they do, oh, hi. They actually just have random glitter particles in there. So yeah, gonna keep all of those for future videos. Honestly, these palettes were in my way over here, so we're gonna talk about them. So I have here some Alter Ego palettes. I also have some here too, so let's actually talk about all of them at once. So here I have the Sahara palette from Alter Ego. Ooh, shameless plug, you could use the code ThatsSoYin at checkout to save some extra money. So here we have one of my favorite palettes from Alter Ego. I really do like this color scheme because it's mostly mattes, and I like the fact that it does go a little cooler here. There's a lot of variation from neutral to warm to cool, and I think that is what makes this palette so interesting to me because it's not just one color family. Aurora here is pretty cute. I actually don't use her a lot. I feel like I want to declutter this because I think that it could use a new home. I feel like I have a lot of pink tones in my palette collection, and this is really nice. It's just that I personally don't reach for it, so I am going to declutter this one. The Goddess palette has got to be my favorite as far as the exterior is concerned, but this is another palette that I don't really use. Now, I really like this because it has a lot of olive tones. However, I don't reach for it because the only pops of color that makes this unique is this teal here, as well as this shimmery teal here. This shimmer right here is really nice because it has a green shift, but other than that, this palette is pretty boring to me. I know it sucks to say that, but I feel like I do have to be critical sometimes. And although this is great, I think it can use a new home. So I think I am going to declutter this. Plus, there's another Alter Ego palette that I feel like is the bigger sister to this, and that's the one I want to keep. So for now, I am decluttering this one. Sigma Warm Neutrals Volume 2. Oh, this is another I can't live without palette. I know, it looks so boring. It looks so boring. Oh my god. But I have actually dug in super deep with this shade here, Toast, super deep with the shade Bittersweet, and also Humble. I feel like this palette really does it for me, and I use this one for my eyebrows. So if I'm traveling or anything like that, then I definitely reach for this one. So she's gonna be kept. I have here a Real Her eyeshadow palette. I like this palette, but I don't love it. And I think the real reason why is because there is not a matte purple. I mean, you do have a matte purple here, but it's definitely not dark enough. And I feel like when I am doing purple looks, I go for a dark purple. So this is just not in my preferred color scheme, but it is really pretty. And if you guys do want to save some money on Real Her, you can use my code ThatsSoYin, shameless plug. But unfortunately, I feel like this one just needs a new home because it's just not up my alley. My friend Brie gave me her Natasha Denona palette, which, oh my god, Brie, thank you. This is the Peak 5 Pan eyeshadow palette, and I believe she got this in a boxy charm, and I've only used it once, and oh my god, the first time I used this, it was so patchy, but I need to give it another shot. So I'm gonna keep it for now because I need to make sure that it's actually good quality and it wasn't just me that day. This is my most recent purchase. This one right here, the Dose of Colors Baked Browns. Now, I know what you guys are probably thinking, Jasmine, you have so many damn brown eyeshadow palettes in your collection. Like, why did you buy this? Well, I'll tell you why I bought it. I bought it because I went to Ulta because I had a return and I decided to walk around the store and their whole Dose of Colors display was 75% off. I repeat, 75% off. So do you know how much I paid for this palette? $8. $8. If that's not music to your ears, I don't know what is. So we're gonna open it for the first time. I know, I should have opened it in stores or something, have the employee open it for me, but this was the last one. She's pristine! She's alive! I love her. Yes, love her. I really do like Dose of Colors shadow formula, so I do have high hopes for this one. I am very excited. We're gonna throw away this packaging though. Profusion mattes. This one broke on me. I think we can all see that. But I don't know. I think that, you know, we've all looked in my collection. We've all seen these shades so far. And I think the only reason why I like this palette is because the pans are big so that I could shove my face brushes in here and it'll work just fine. But I think this is gonna go into my maybe pile because I can't let it go. So we're gonna just move on here to the Alter Ego Temptress palette. This one is supposed to be like a dupe for the ABH Sultry. And as a matter of fact, I don't reach for this a whole bunch, but it is one of the few palettes that I have that I like in like this type of color family. So this is also gonna go into the maybe pile because I wanna see like what other palettes that I have that are more cool tone, like cool neutral, and that are good quality. So we're gonna go on with Makeup Revolution with the Chilled Cannabis palette. Okay, first of all, when I did my Makeup Revolution palette series, everybody loved the tutorial that I used with this palette, but as a matter of fact, this was so hard to blend. Like, I think that I wanted to keep this for so long because I didn't have any good solid greens in my collection, but now that I do, I feel like I could let this one go. The browns in here also don't blend very well, they don't build up very well, and the only thing that's promising are these shimmers. Well, this one in particular, this calm shade. Everything else is very lackluster to me, so I am going to declutter this one even though I created a really bomb look with it. I just feel like I can't be bothered with the formula. This, period, honestly, Pure and Raw Beauty Christie, she's already been super used, oh my god. But yeah, I do like this palette. I love her selection of browns. I do. I really do. I feel like all of these are so solid. She couldn't have done any better. I really do love this. She's a definite keep. I did not wait months to get that palette for nothing. So that's all I gotta say about that. Do you guys remember when I did my Kaleidos makeup palette series? I think that was honestly one of my most favorite makeup palette series that I have done. I have done a lot of the palette series with ColourPop, Shop Marseille, I did Kaleidos, I did Revolution, and I have a lot more up my alley that I want to do for you guys. But I did actually take out some of the shadows from another palette that I had. It was like their Cyber Bronze one. So far I only have like these, how many is this? It's 6 palettes. Sashimi City, so pretty. She's a keeper. I have here the Lunar Lavender. Oh, this is superior. I feel like if the Real Her one was similar to this, game over, period. I really do like this one, so I'm going to keep it. I love the Electro Turquoise palette because it just, oh my god, why do I keep doing that? Stop, I'm so embarrassed. But I just love the color selection in here. I love it when you mesh teals and blues with oranges. It just looks really pretty to me. We have Sci-Fi Green. This is a nice olive palette. I just feel like I don't use it a whole bunch because the only shades that I really like are these two, and the rest I could live without because, you know, I have a lot of blacks in my collection, even though that this one's super pigmented, and I feel like I have a lot of these shades in my collection. So this one's actually gonna go into the maybe pile because I need to see what else I got going on. And then we have the Neon palette, which I think I am going to declutter. The only reason why I kept this was because I didn't have a lot of neons in my collection, but a lot of these shades are pretty patchy, so I'm gonna declutter this one. Finally, we have the Big Daddy, the Escape Pod. Look at how beautiful this is. I think it is pretty chunky, but you know, for the most part, I think it's really pretty. I love the variety in here, and I think that some of these shades are more neon than the neon palette that I just decluttered, so that's the reason why I want to keep this one and declutter that. I do like this one. I feel like I get really solid looks whenever I use this, so really excited to be keeping that one. We got my Juno palettes. I did do a Juno makeup palette series recently. I think that was like my last palette series that I did on my channel. So I just wanted to open these because they are small so that we can all see like an overhead view of them. I think for sure we're gonna declutter the blue one because they're all shimmers, and you guys know I like my mattes, so this one is gonna go. I'm gonna keep this one. This one is the Siren palette. This is my favorite out of the bunch. I also really like this one. This one's Bombshell. Love the glitter. The glitter in here is the best one ever. Ooh, okay. Okay. This is where I'm gonna have troubles because Sydney bought me the ColourPop palette, and I feel like these tones are in that ColourPop palette, and I feel like these purples, it's 3 mattes, or 3 shimmers, 1 matte. So I think I'm going to declutter this one as well. And then this one is gonna go into my maybe pile, and these two are gonna be kept. We got here the Juvia's Place the Zulu palette, and this one was on my wish list for so long. I do want to keep this because I don't have this exact color scheme anywhere else. I feel like it's really hard for me to find this type of teal in my collection, as well as some of like these greens here, so I think I'm just going to keep it for the sake of those colors. LA Color sent me their Luxe palette, and I did only use it once, but quite honestly, I'm not a huge fan of this type of color scheme. I think we all know that by now. So I think I am going to declutter it only because I did use it once and I think it can use a new home. Let's move this more towards the center here. I'm sorry, I'm not in focus. I'm in a weird angle that I've never filmed in before. But I want to talk about my Urban Decay eyeshadow palettes. Now, Urban Decay did send me both of these, but I'm going to be quite honest and say that I am not the biggest fan of Urban Decay eyeshadows because I feel like compared to a lot of my different formulas, I think that this is a little harder to build. So let's actually take a look at the Ultraviolet palette. I think it is very pretty, and I do like this shade selection collection, and I do want to keep it just because it took me a really long time to get noticed by Urban Decay. So I want to keep it, maybe get some more use out of it, maybe depot the shades and maybe put it in a magnetic palette. I think that would be pretty nice to do in the future. And then they have here their Stoned Vibes palette. Now this is inspired by gems, and you guys know I love my crystals. I really do. And this palette is actually really pretty as far as the shimmers are concerned. These 4 masks that are on the ends of the palette, I feel like they are not the most vibrant. They're not the most pigmented, but I think that for this palette, the shimmers are very unique and they're very, very glistening, especially when you use it with the fingers. So highly recommend this one, especially if you like shimmers. But I think for Urban Decay price points, I just think that if you are gonna buy a shimmer palette, I think that you're just better off with, I don't know, saving a little bit of extra money or even getting it on sale. Here we have my Shop Miss A palettes. This palette here, the Self-Made, is actually my holy grail palette of Shop Miss A of all time. I think that this is the best formula. Yes, the colors look very scattered, but every single time I use this, I get compliments. And I know I put my face out there a lot, and I know I do get compliments all the time about my makeup, but this palette in particular, every single time I wear it, compliment without a doubt. So I do love this. I love how pigmented it is. The blues are so vibrant. The green is so vibrant. We have here Violets Are Blue, and honestly, I don't use this palette a whole bunch. Oh, man. This might go into my maybe pile, but I want to see what else that I have. I have here the Bear palette. Gonna keep this 100%. That one's a good one. And then we have Over the Rainbow. I feel like this palette formula is a little weird to me because, okay, when I take a look at Self-Made here, you could see some colors that are kind of the same. Like these two are very similar. These two are similar. They're not the same, but they're similar. These two are similar. These two are similar. Like you just get, you know, just repeats, I feel like. So for me personally, I like the Self-Made because it has some of these neutrals and these shimmers, while the Rainbow palette is all matte. I do want to keep this, even though I'm not a huge fan of some of the lighter shades in here, because I don't actually have a palette that's a full rainbow like this. And I think, dare I say, I'm so sorry if I offend anybody, but I'm not sorry for saying it. I think that this palette formula is better than the James Charles and Morphe formula. Thank you. And then here we have the XOXO palette, and I think I do want to declutter this because I am keeping a lot of pink tone palettes, and I think that this one is more of like a taupe mauve type of situation, which is something that I don't typically wear, so I am going to declutter this one. And I think now looking at some of my other Shop Miss A palettes that I do own, I think that I am going to declutter the Violets Are Blue, simply because I know that I am going to get my use out of these 3, and plus you get a lot of shades in there, so there is really no use for me to have this just for the purples. All right, we are getting into the last stack of palettes here. I have a whole bunch of my wants and needs palettes in this section, so I'm gonna try and move it out the way. But we have the Tati Beauty palette. Thank you, Sydney, for getting me this palette. You didn't get it for me, you gave it to me because you didn't want it. Putting you on blast, but I love you for it. Thank you. So this is what it looks like if you guys don't know. Wow, you could definitely see me. But I really, really enjoy this palette. I think like everybody else in the beauty community, I like the fact that there's the matte, the sequins, the metallics, and the glitter. I think that was like phenomenal. That just, oh my God, Miss Tati, you really popped off with this. So I am going to keep this one because I do get a lot of use out of it, especially surprisingly with these 2 rows, and that's very neutral cool. We're running out of desk space, so bear with me, but we have here the Revolution and Emily the Wands. Oh, she has been used, honey. She has definitely been used. I love this palette. This palette is so amazing to me. I still use it, and I just feel like the variety in here is just perfect. Like, I like the amounts of nudes, the pinks, the purples, the greens, like everything here is what I would wear day to day. And that's the reason why I decluttered a lot of my other palettes with the pinks and the purples. And I know that this one doesn't have like the hugest selection, but it is something that I still reach for all the time. So this one definitely beats a lot of the other palettes that I do have with that same color scheme. I don't hear anybody talk about the Patricia Bright and Revolution palette. She did have a lot. So this one is the Rich in Color palette. Let me try and open it. Boom! Do you see how beautiful this is? Period. Like, she really popped off. Miss Patricia. I finally followed her on Instagram, by the way. She's quite beautiful. And I really do love the neons. Like, the neons are not here to play. Like, they are, what you see is what you get. And that's the reason why I also decluttered some of the neon palettes, because I knew I had this. We have all of this to choose from. So love that it's drugstore, love that Make Revolution decide to collaborate with a Black influencer. Love that so much. I do have some single shadows here that I want to talk about later, but these ones are my actual palettes. This is the Wet n Wild and Bretman Rock collaboration palette. Now this is the Jungle Rock palette. I want to keep this solely because it's Bretman's palette and because I know how proud he was of this collection. But I'm gonna just be honest that these colors were not my absolute favorite. Like, some of it was a little too sheer for me and some stained my eyelids. So I'm gonna keep it just to keep it because I could do that here. Finally, this is the Alter Ego palette that I really like, that kind of kicked Goddess away. So this one is the big sister to Goddess in my personal opinion. This is the Artemis palette. As you see, there's a lot more greens, there's a lot more blues, there's more shimmers, there's more variety, and I just like this formula a lot better, quite frankly. I feel like it blends into the eyes quite seamlessly, and even though that there are some bold colors in here, it just blends in like your normal neutral shades. So I really do like that, and that's the reason why I'm going to keep this one. Oh my God, there's a backstory to this one. There is a very long backstory. So I know I've mentioned her name a lot, Sydney. Hi, everyone needs to know Sydney's my best friend. But I talk to Sydney all the time about how much I have FOMO of not getting the Manny MUA and Makeup Geek collaboration palette. That was like, oh my God, like 2015, 2016. And so she decided to opt in to get me the Morphe and Manny MUA collaboration palette. And I feel like, okay, dare I say that if you just take off this row and these highlighters, like, does this not look like the Makeup Geek collaboration palette that they had? I don't know. I mean, he had the duochrome in there. He has the red. He has the nudes. Like, I just feel like this is it. But being that it is Morphe's formula, I feel like it is very dry and hard to work with. So I am going to keep it because I do have FOMO and this is the closest thing I'll ever get. And then I have here the One Profusion palette that I really like, which is Gold Rush. Super pretty. I think that this is one of the best larger palettes from the drugstore. So I am going to keep this. I love the yellow tones. They actually show up on my skin. Kate, my other best friend, got me the Jaclyn Hill palette for Christmas. I had FOMO about not getting the original Jaclyn Hill palette before it reformulated, but sadly Kate couldn't get the old formula, so she settled for the new one for me. And even though that the formula did change, I still like it. I know you guys cannot see any of my indents, but it's actually really nice. And I really do appreciate my friends going out of their way to get me something that I had FOMO about. Like, y'all are real ones for that. So thank you, Kate, for getting me this palette. This was honestly like one of the best Christmas gifts I got this year. Here we are with my last full palette aside from my single shadows. This is the Kathleen Lights and ColourPop So Jaded. Look at how beautiful. You cannot tell me that like you hate this palette. I just feel like there's something for everyone here, and I love the muted tones that this has. It's not so bright, but it's not so neutral. Like, it's really just in the middle, and that's why I like it so much. So now we can actually go into my singles. Hello, hello, hello. Now these palettes are from Shop Miss, just their regular magnetic palettes. They are a little dirty, and I just can't clean it up. It's fine. It's okay. That's just the texture, honey. Okay. So here we have some of my single shadows. Now I actually don't want to declutter it in this video because I feel like that's a lot of work for me right now, and I don't have the mental capacity in this exact moment to do that for you, but maybe in a future video. Pretend like this part of the palette isn't here, and then pretend that like this bottom row isn't here, but just look at these three, like these groups of fours, right? So this was my very first ColourPop palette. This was their heavy hitter palette. The second palette that I got was this palette here. It was a quad palette that they had way back when, and this one was Gemini by Night. And then the third one here was the I Love Sarai collaboration, and that was the Saucy palette. I am so surprised that I even remembered what they were called, but they're here in this magnetic palette. The last one here are just like a variation of shades. This one, these 9 are the Shop Miss Foxy palette, and then these 3 were my now discontinued collaboration eyeshadows. I kind of want to talk about some shady business with collaborations in a future video, but we're not going to spill the tea in this one because it's a long story. Okay, so let's go into the next magnetic palette here. We have some highlighters as well as some bronzers and blushes. Honestly, I think these are all expired. I think for sure all of these are, but you know what? We're not going to declutter it. These are from a variation of different brands. We got Outtro in here. We got Shop Miss. I think we might have some Morphe in here as well. So we're going to keep that, but let's actually go ahead and review some of the palettes that I am going to be decluttering. And if you guys want to purchase any of these off of me, I know, really weird, but you can always DM me on Instagram because I do sell some of my items there. And of course, I will disinfect everything, but I will let you guys know which ones I am opting to sell. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you everything that's on my maybe pile, and then we're going to sort from there. So here it is, very small. We have the Juno palette. We have, I think, what is this? The Goddess palette. I think we can declutter her because I have a lot of yellows that I really, really like. We got Futurism. I think we could declutter her because I have some greens in my collection. We got Temptress. I think we could keep her because I don't really have that type of color scheme here. Profusion Mattes. Declutter. Oh, we're back. We're back here again. Oh God, Jasmine, do you use her or do you just keep her? Declutter. Oh God, we're here again. Oh my gosh, this is so difficult for me. I'm gonna hold on to it just a little longer. Just a little longer. A little longer. Okay, Modern Renaissance. I want you guys to know right now that like I have this aching pain in my chest because I don't want to declutter this because of sentimental value, but also it's so crusty. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to just pull the trigger and just say not keep it. Now we can just talk about some of the palettes that I am going to be decluttering. So we kind of just saw just 5 of the palettes, and I told you guys in the beginning of this video I wanted to declutter 10 palettes. I actually have 22 that I'm decluttering. Yay! Okay, so very quickly, let's go ahead and do a rundown. We have the Wet n Wild Lights Off, Folklore Ever Changing, Wet n Wild Nude Awakening, Real Her Conquer From Within, this one. We have the Neon palette from Kaleidos, this one. Alter Ego Goddess, very beautiful. Aurora, very beautiful. Revolution, love her. LA Colors Luxe. We got 2 here from Dollface Beauty. Storybook Robin Hood. These 2 Juno palettes. Prism Supreme Chaos. As well as these 2 Shop Miss A palettes. So the ones that I am considering just selling on my Instagram are very few. I am going to post them on my highlighted Instagram story of the ones that I do feel like have gotten very little use out of and that I can easily sanitize for you guys. So you guys will see that on my Instagram, so all you have to do is just DM me if you guys want anything. But for now, that wraps up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know that this was very, very long, but nonetheless, I feel like if you are a Virgo moon, a Virgo rising, a Virgo sun, you might have really, really enjoyed this video. I love cleaning. That's like one of my favorite things to do. I'm a Virgo moon and rising. Oh, that's powerful right there. That's powerful stuff. And so I have just been really enjoying sitting and taking this time to film this video, especially with this new angle that I'm in. Let me know if you guys like that, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye. Peace out, Girl Scouts.